Yesterday, the team of Delhi police brought Aftab over here, and Aftab yesterday pointed out a few places that he claimed that he had thrown the body parts of Shraddha after killing her on May 18th.
You can see in these visuals, these terrains are actually very tough, and it is very tough for the police to get inside the jungle and to collect all those evidences which Aftab had pointed to.
You're watching News Epicenter with me, Maria Shakil. The murder of Shraddha Walker by her boyfriend and partner Aftab continues to haunt the nation as more and more details emerge of the constant abuse she faced and the sheer monstrosity of the crime. Remember, he murdered her in May after a heated argument in their home in Chhatarpur, after which he chopped her into 35 pieces and scattered the body parts in the Mehrauli Chhatarpur forest area. As the police try to piece together the evidence, Aftab has been sent to 5 days of police custody. Since Monday, the police have taken him to the forest area to retrace his steps and have recovered over 10 bone fragments which are currently being analyzed, along with blood samples collected from their home. Aftab will go through a narco test and a psychoanalysis as well. The police have also identified the vehicle which was used by Aftab to discard Shraddha's belongings. They have also narrowed down to 2 spots where Shraddha's clothes could have been possibly thrown. But so far, no recoveries have been made. No murder weapon, no evidence per se has been recovered by the police so far. For now, the police have nothing more than a confession. But the ambit of this investigation continues to expand. On the show tonight, we do a deep dive into this case with reporters who are tracking the story very, very closely from the ground, with experts and also with Shraddha's friend. But first, here's how the case unfolded today.
Gruesome, bloodthirsty, brutal. You will recall all these words once you learn about the spine-chilling details in the Shraddha murder case. The latest information accessed via sources by CNN News 18 reveals how Aftab disposed of Shraddha's body after he strangled her. After buying the knife, fridge and all the chemicals, Aftab removed Shraddha's internal organs as they had started to decompose. He did this to avoid the foul smell, which would have raised suspicions in the neighborhood. Aftab then collected all her organs in a plastic bag and threw them in a garbage dump. The police believes that most of Shraddha's internal organs were either decomposed completely or they were eaten up by stray animals.
The Delhi police came here and conducted the search operation for 6 to 7 hours today itself, and it is also expected that these search operations like these would be carried out in this entire forest area, because remember, this is a massive forest land. Approximately 5 to 7 kilometers of land comes under this forest, and it is practically impossible to search the entire forest in one day and do a thorough search.
Not only this, Aftab also burned Shraddha's face after dismembering her body to conceal her identity. Sources reveal that Aftab confessed to the police that he searched on the internet of ways to dispose of a dead body after murder. There's only been a minor breakthrough in the investigation so far. The police have recovered a femur bone from the Chhatarpur forest area. The bone also has some injury marks and has been sent for forensic examination, but it is yet to be ascertained if the bone was part of Shraddha's body. The police have also identified the vehicle which was used by Aftab to dispose of Shraddha's clothes. 2 spots have also been narrowed down where Aftab could have possibly dumped her clothes.
Aftab was brought to this crime scene to make confession as to what and where he has thrown those pieces of body of Shraddha. And in fact, today, the police officials from Delhi are on ground and they are investigating this entire jungle to collect more and more evidences.
These latest details will surely leave you shell-shocked and may even leave you puzzled that why Aftab did all these things to the woman who left everything just to be with him.
And as the ambit of the case widens, two more suspects are now on the radar. Delhi police is looking for two individuals named Badri and Rohan. Aftab, in fact, met Badri in Himachal Pradesh when he visited Himachal along with Shraddha. Remember, after they left Mumbai, they visited Himachal and Uttarakhand. That's where they met Badri. Aftab met Badri seeking a home in Chhatarpur. Badri then introduced him to Rohan, who lives in Chhatarpur. Rohan got Aftab a house on rent in Chhatarpur. In fact, Rohan was also the caretaker of this house. Police will now take Aftab to Himachal Pradesh and Uttarakhand to try and piece together this entire journey from Mumbai to Himachal to Uttarakhand and finally to Delhi. Anvir Srivastav and Anshul Singh are our two reporters who are tracking the story very closely, tracking the crime scene, tracking the details that are emerging from the cops. Both of them are joining me here in the studio. Anvit, I'm going to come to you first. Two more suspects. Are they being seen as accomplices?
See, this will be very, I think, early to say that they are accomplices. Police have zeroed down on Badri and Rohan. Now, Badri is the contact who could be crucial to the probe because he's the person who had also given them shelter in Uttarakhand, is what the police are believing based on this man's confession. Also, he was instrumental in providing them the house in Chhatarpur. The rented house they had been living in, it is being said by the police as per confession of this man that he was the one who got them this house through a broker. Police are also trying to find who this broker was. Also, the landlord's statement will be very instrumental to this case because they have not yet found out whether there was this woman's name in the rent contract, on whose name was the rent contract made and what were the conditions. Because there is a possibility that police are believing that maybe this man was completely hiding this woman's presence in that house in the area. Maybe he had not disclosed that he'll be living with that woman.
But interestingly, Anvit, in Bombay, in their apartment, they had registered themselves as husband and wife.
Correct.
So, if you look at that document, the cops are clearly saying that that was about husband and wife.
Certainly.
So, what is it that they were trying to hide this time around? And when we look at the developments that have happened in the court, Anshul, come in on this, particularly because you have been interacting with the neighbors. If we look at the investigation closely, and I'm going to give the viewers an overview of the horrific details that have emerged so far, and then I'll go to Anshul, because that has all emerged from the scene of the crime. That is the house in which they lived from May 15th onwards. On May 18th, Aftab murdered Shraddha between 8 and 10 p.m. That is completely based on Aftab's confession. The body remained in the Aftab's room the whole night. Aftab then Googled how to dispose of a body after the murder. On May 19th, a day later, Aftab goes to buy a knife and a fridge. The refrigerator is ordered online. He removes Shraddha's internal organs from the body. He throws away the organs in a garbage dump and then cuts her body into several pieces. It's really gruesome. It's shocking, horrific to say the least. But all these are coming from the cops who are investigating it. Aftab then burns her face to make it unidentifiable. Imagine, this is the man who was allegedly or supposedly in love with this woman, and he tortured her to this extent. He then throws her clothes in a dump, a garbage dump. Then from May 20th to June 6th, in that period of roughly 20 days, he dumps her body parts in the forest over a period of 18 days. An important recovery from the forest of Chhatarpur is the femur bone, the thigh bone with an injury mark. I am going to bring Anshul now. Anshul, the details that are coming in are purely from what Aftab has told the cops. Is he giving these details that he removed the intestine and then he put it in a garbage bag and then he threw it? What are the cops saying when these details emerge?
So yes, the entire case that is being investigated right now is on the statements of Aftab, and the police is trying to actually corroborate everything that he is saying with actual evidences on ground, and that is the reason why we are seeing that the Delhi police is so serious about this case that they have already gone ahead and made certain teams who are dealing with these cases individually. For example, the first team is looking at the hard evidences in this case. These hard evidences include the murder weapon that has been used and the body parts of Shraddha. So a team is specifically looking at this. The second team that the Delhi police has is looking at the FSL records that have been seen. They are trying to be in coordination with those teams, with the forensic teams, so that at the earliest they can get those reports. Because remember, the forensics labs in this country are actually very overworked. So yes, a team is specifically coordinating with the forensic lab so that those reports can come at the earliest and the investigation could move forward. Because remember, it has already been 6 months since this incident has happened. So the time is something that is not on the side of the Delhi police.
Yes.
And the third team that they are looking at the technological evidences.
Okay. So now let me bring in the experts before I try and give you more details on this case. The reporters continue to be here in the studio. Ashwini Dubey is an advocate of the Supreme Court. We also have Anamika Yaduvanshi, clinical psychologist. I can see Yashwardhan Azad, former IPS officer. Rajat Shukla, Shraddha's friend, continues to be with us. Dr. Dinesh Rao, forensic expert. Dr. Dinesh Rao, you know, it's evident now that the Delhi police is racing against time. The entire disposing of the body has happened several months ago. What are the forensic challenges?
Yeah, see, one is in cases like this, definitely the chances of the soft tissues, specimens recovery is highly impossible. Only the bony parts can be recovered. And one possibility is, especially from the refrigerator, even the soft tissue bits or even the bloods and body fluids, where it may contain the DNA samples, that can be retrieved because it's a refrigerator. The other chances, that is a primary crime scene. Other chances is especially where the body is cut, severed into pieces. There the blood splatters or even tissue bits, which may not be visible to the naked eye. It can be carefully processed, and possibility of retrieval from that particular site is also most likely. But whereas in the forest where he has disposed the body parts, only the bony parts will be the only option. And from that bony parts, the DNA sample is the thing
Dr.
which
Dinesh,
can
what the cops are telling Anvit is also that the kitchen slab is from where certain samples have been collected. Anvit, what exactly did the cops tell you?
So they are saying that they were, even though this man had used bleach and acid to clean the entire house, they have found some traces of bloods from some corners in the kitchen. However, they're not sure whether whose blood is this. Samples have been collected. There's also a possibility, because this man had a laceration and he got it treated. There's a possibility that it could be his own blood.
Then in that case, Dr. Dinesh Rao, that specific point that is being made here, if bleach is used on a kitchen slab, will it wash away the stains? And will the forensic be able to pick up the right DNA after 6 months then?
Yes, see, we have retrieved in many crime scene and many homicides, where, see, what happens is, once if he tries to try the evidence by using the bleach or any other chemicals, so he may clean the surface, but there are areas where the blood has lodged in the crevices or some small spaces, which is not accessible to the actual regular wash. So those are the areas which usually we look for. And these are the areas where it always be left untouched, because for us the sample, it's just few hundred cells is sufficient. That means even 0.5 ml of blood is sufficient.
And
because
that
may help
sample
us to reduce the DNA
will
sample.
not be contaminated for 6 months? 6 months is a long period
No,
for any
no.
sample
Yes,
to be contaminated?
absolutely. Yes, see, what happens is, once the blood dries up, that will become a very good sample that can be dried. Only if the blood is wet and get decomposed, then it may get destroyed. But whereas when it get dried up, the samples can be retrieved, DNA can be retrieved from those samples.
Okay. Let me bring Rajat Shukla as well, Shraddha's friend. Rajat, the details that are emerging on Shraddha's murder case is horrific. And here are the two reporters who are tracking the story. You have been telling me that, Shraddha was 5 feet 6 inches tall. So it's impossible for anybody to, kill her all by themselves. So now there are two accomplices or possible suspects whose names have started coming in. Tell me about the friends who were in touch with Shraddha.
So, Shraddha had, from the start, I think 2018 itself, the behavioral changes that I had told you, she had started to distance herself from, the very big groups. So today I have provided your channel with a few photographs of our college time. So such a big group we had. We used to hang out together, and so you imagine, this kind of a person, when she becomes limited to Aftab, certainly, question arises. Now, when the things about forensic were discussed, there is one concern that I want to raise, if you guys allow me. May I?
Yes. Go ahead.
Before the forensics, I think, had entered the place, or, they should actually really bar anybody to enter this place. Anybody and everybody has seen that there has been so many media channels entering the place where the crime has occurred. So that would actually temper so many
That is a
proofs,
valid concern.
evidences.
Yashwardhan Azad, the tampering of evidence is a concern. But how do you build a watertight case in a case such as this, Yashwardhan Azad, particularly where everything is being confessed by the criminal? The murderer here, Aftab, is accepting everything. He has gone on to say that he is okay with a narco test also.
Well, the criminal is the cold-blooded murderer. And that is why you see that he is not giving you the crucial evidence. He is not giving you the skull. He is not giving you the machete. And he is not giving you the actual things which the police really want. However, based on what we have got, and let me just add something to what Dr. Dinesh Rao has said. Our forensic experts are damn good. And I have been seeing them over the years. No matter how much a criminal wipes out evidence from a particular area, there are still evidence which can be found from the crevices, corners, whether it's the blood stains which have been found on the blood table, hair strands, and other things which will sufficiently be enough. And even the car, for example, or the vehicle which was used for transport, there on the carpets, the stains, etc., which can be found. So I'm relying on that DNA mapping very, very expectantly. That's one thing very, very strong. The other thing regarding the comments by the friends like Rajat Shukla, he's a very good friend. I feel sad that, none of them really intervene. It's a constitutional duty of any person that if somebody is burned by cigarette butts, whether she likes it or not to be reported or not, they are supposed to report the police.
Yes, the friends should have realized that there is much more to the action of Aftab when he was burning her with cigarette butts. I'm going to understand his mind in just a bit, but before that, Anvit, that point being made here of the murder weapon, which has not been recovered. Here is Aftab accepting everything, confessing on everything. Then why is he not taking the cops to the real recoveries?
Correct. See, that's what the question is right now. Weapon of offense has not yet been recovered. So have not been Shraddha's phone and the head of the body, which will be crucial to the probe. But as far as his confession is concerned, there could be a possibility that he is taking police for a wild goose chase. And because where all he has pointed out today, also the IO said in the court that he has pointed out four major locations where he disposed the body, but they have not found much, and therefore they need extension of the remand. So police has this realization that wherever he is pointing out, it might not be completely correct, and there is a large possibility that he is misleading the police, and that is why the permission for narco test has been taken, because they want this man to be interrogated in a subconscious state, even in a hypnotic state where he'll not be able to resist speaking truth, and police are expecting they will get some leads, which may lead them to all the three crucial evidences.
Anamika, particularly, let's have Rajat and Anamika on the screen now. Anamika, here is someone who is confessing to the crime, has now talked about 4 locations where he disposed of the body parts. He is someone who is accepted to narco analysis as well. Why is he accepting to everything? In fact, he is telling the details. The father of Shraddha has told the cops that he confessed to the crime on his face, that I killed your daughter. So what kind of sick mind are we
yes.
looking at?
Yeah. Look at his psychology.
Yes.
What kind of impression he had made on Shraddha, in spite of being burnt by cigarette butts, in spite of being a public person. Just now, her friend told us that she was a people's person. They had a large group. In spite of being so much outgoing, she fell into the trap of this person. So what impact this person had made on Shraddha, that she was totally carried away and totally in a disbelief that this person is going to take care of her. She wanted to marry her. So he had managed to manipulate Shraddha. Now he's again trying to play the same tricks here with the police, manipulating them, trying to play his own cards, showing them just what he needs to show, so that, it's not sufficient enough to actually put him behind the bars, or to give him death sentence, or to give him life sentence. He's acting very smart. He's being very manipulative. So we need to understand there has to be a lot of psychoanalysis tests to be done with this person. A lot of intriguing has to be done with this person, so that we can get what actually we are looking for.
Okay. Rajat, when Shraddha was being tortured by her partner, why didn't any of you raise that with her father, or tell her father that she was in a toxic relationship? We are also told by her father that she tried her best to walk out of this relationship, but every time he convinced her. What was the conversations like? What were the friends telling her then, and what was she telling her friends?
I mean, it is sad that, there are few people here in the panel, they have been there in few other discussions of mine where I had already answered, but they still, I don't know, like maybe to trigger this thing. When I had very clearly mentioned that I was in touch with Shraddha from 2015 to 19, Shraddha had herself distanced me and other friends. Does that really make sense of me knowing everything and being there every time? There were friends in touch who had informed about these things, and they also went. They also confronted Aftab. They also nearly was, about to take Aftab to the police. However, Shraddha compelled them to not really take Aftab to the police, but to give him a chance.
Okay.
There is more to this. It is not just love or anything of that marriage of that sort that, it is being portrayed here by Aftab. Those stories, fairy tale kind of stories. No. We have to understand that there is blackmailing as well here in this case.
Okay.
Shraddha was a very bold and a very blunt person. She knew what to do and what not. She knew what to choose and what to really ditch. She was staying with this person not because she was out of love, out of love she was staying. She was staying there because of some very major blackmailing. One is recently today disclosed by a close friend of hers that, Aftab used to blackmail her and say that if you leave me, I will do suicide and blame you and your family for that. That is one revelation from the blackmailings he might have done, of course. One of it is this. And I highly suspect there can be more to this. Okay. And there is more to add.
Okay.
You had seen maybe the agreement copy of the place where these people had shifted.
Yes.
They had stayed there for quite a long time. They had shifted there and called themselves as husband and wife.
That's right.
However, one more thing has to be seen over there, that Aftab's mom and dad, they had also, mentioned their documents into this. That certainly raises a concern here. Apart from that, one very big concern that can actually make this case easier is Aftab's parents flee from their residence where they used to stay for the last 23 years, right 15 days before this case is out of the world, out in the
So you are raising questions on
now
the role of the parents as well. Okay, Anvit.
Rajat, my question.
Yeah, parents had flee. They no more.
My question to you is, Rajat, that since you have known both Aftab and Shraddha well, and the police have come out with a theory that this man had searched on the internet ways to dispose of a body and how to cover up a murder. Knowing Aftab well, do you think he was, given the how technically sound he was a food blogger and he was well versed in internet and in other ways. So, do you really think that the police's theory that he had searched such ways of disposing of the body is right when this man was so technically sound
And
that he would not go incognito or use some search engines that would not let police access his search history?
Yeah, that's a valid point. Go ahead. Please respond, Rajat.
This is absolutely baseless. Just think of it. Think of it. The way he has pulled off this murder is no normal person's job. This is somebody who would be a highly professional but would also need companies to carry out this operation. Think of it. And this person, you imagine the way he has carried out, pulled off this whole murder and almost had cleared off all the evidences. Do you think it's possible for a person? I tell you, the much I had known Aftab was a person who looked very usual. And the much that is being portrayed out in the world is maybe 5 to 10%. That is maybe consciously he's trying the world to know. Maybe this is all the part of the game. He already knew that this is going to happen this way and the case would progress this way, and is the reason he had also informed the parents, and the parents had...
who is constantly changing his statement as well. From May, June, July, in October, when the questions were, he was being questioned by the cops, to now, things have changed. So let me bring Yashwardhan Azad and Ashwini Dubey now. For a watertight case, there are some essential pieces of evidence that are still missing. There has been no recovery of the tools, and I would ask the producer to put those graphics on our television screens. There has been no recovery of the tools used to dismember the body. There has been no recovery of the body, of the backpack used to move the body parts. There has been no recovery of Shraddha's clothes or phone. There are no eyewitnesses or CCTV visuals around the night of the murder. There is no confirmation that the recovered remains are Shraddha's, and the analysis of report of blood samples from the home are still awaited. But this is what the cops do have. A confession from Aftab that he killed Shraddha, which is inadmissible in court. The Delhi police will subject Aftab to a narco test, but it is not considered a conclusive evidence. The Delhi police will also subject Aftab to a psychoanalysis, but it is also not considered to be a conclusive evidence. Ashwini Dubey, where does this take this case now? In which direction is it heading?
Thank you, Maria ji, for having me here. Maria ji, very candidly, you have said that the confessional statement before the police has no evidentiary value in the eyes of law unless it is corroborated by the circumstantial evidences, those evidences which are sufficient enough to prove the crime. Admittedly, Maria ji, it's a calculated, cold-blooded and brutal murder of a girl who believed the suspected accused, and under the lure of loving her, the suspected accused brought her from Mumbai to Delhi. But there are other evidences, the manner in which the murder was committed. As very rightly you have pointed out, that the tool, the weapon is one of the important evidence to establish and to prove the commission of offense. We have to see the murder motive. As of now, the police had just started the investigation. The DNA sampling report, the narco analysis states, the statement of the friends, the Aftab's dating application, the Aftab Googled how to clean floor with bloody stains. All these are, I'm again saying, that circumstantial evidences and does not fall within the doctrine of rarest of the rare case. Irrespective of the fact, if the investigating agency is able to prove that it's an offense, the offense where the perpetuality of the crime is against the society, and society where it's not an individualistic offense committed against an individual person, but where the confidence of the society has been shaken by this. But ultimate test will lie before the court. when after a certain period of time, which has been provided under section 378 of the Criminal Procedure Code, that investigation is to be taken place within a reasonable manner, and within 90 days, if police is able to reach to a conclusion and file a charge sheet before the court, and if courts submit and accept this charge sheet to be a conclusive proof and frame the charges, then the real test will arise when the trial will begin.
Yes.
The law says reasonableness. Law says the benefit of doubt. It will always go in favor of the accused.
Yes.
So whatever as of now is happening, all are on the basis of the circumstantial evidences. There is no eyewitness. Admittedly, there is no eyewitness to this offense. What we have seen in Chabda's case, what we have seen by the Supreme Court and other cases on a number of cases, that look, unless there is a sufficient evidence to hold someone guilty for the offense like murder, you cannot hold him accountable, because the individual's life, liberty has to be protected. So only thing, the investigation is an initial stage. So let's see how the friends are supporting.
Fine.
Let's see how the DNA report is coming in favor of the investigating agency.
Yashwardhan Azad, here is Aftab telling the cops that he sold his phone on OLX and he cut Shraddha's body in bathroom. These are the details that are coming in from Aftab again. I'm saying it again and again because that's something that we have to keep in mind. Why haven't the cops, taken a 164 statement from him so far? Because a 164 magisterial statement is admissible in court, and then he'll not be able to change his statement or confession.
Well, Aftab is one of the most cold-blooded criminals which has premeditated action. He has committed this murder. And the very fact, the way he's giving statements, is a congenital liar. And therefore, it is obvious that unless his mind is fully prepared, he will never make the same statements before the magistrate. See, he hasn't given the mobile of Shraddha. He hasn't given the machete. He hasn't given the skull. So obviously, he's repeating this kind of and blundering the police into various kinds of, misadventures, I would say. But I would still say that the police will go with what it has, and it has done pretty well so far. As far as the DNA sampling, the clinching evidence, DNA samples have been matched even after 35 years. Okay. And the forensic experts have been able to, take out even after the criminals have wiped out the area. So I think some traces of blood, some traces of hair, some traces of body parts will be found even from the car or from the air. And therefore, I'm eagerly awaiting for that report. Secondly, there is an overwhelming circumstantial evidence. Okay. And now that you have brought in these two reporters and come up with excellent information that the person who gave the house, the last seen point can be proven, that these two had moved into that particular house. And after that particular the number of days, he had taken this on the 27th Evidence Act. That's another thing जो हम कहते हैं कि निशानदेही पे पुलिस ने जाके इन चीज की बरामदी की. So far as the situation is, obviously these 5 days are very crucial. We need more evidence per se. Otherwise, forcefully the police will have to be back on the evidence that they have got so far. Okay. And I would say, it's a 50-50, but I would be on the positive side saying that it is enough to sort of clinch a kind of conviction against him.
Okay, we have some more breaking news coming in now, and I'm going to go to that. This is the CNN News 18 mega exclusive. Police sources are telling CNN News 18 about the next step of the investigation, where they will map the entire crime scene. Investigators will start from the point when the couple left Maharashtra. Aftab will be taken to Himachal to trace where all he had stayed with Shraddha and who all the couple had met. He will also be taken to Uttarakhand. Police are also focusing their search to now recover Shraddha's head. Let me go straight to Anvit, who's getting us these details, even while he was in the studio sharing his thoughts. Anvit, please give us the details.
See, Maria, one crucial thing that police are lacking in this entire case is the sequence of incidents. sequence of events have not yet been established, and this is what the police will try to do over the next 4 days when they have already secured custody of this man for the next 5 days. They plan to, because they had what his confession has revealed, that he had eloped with this woman from Maharashtra, and then they had gone to Uttarakhand, then stayed in Himachal, and then also came back to Delhi. This entire route will be recreated. They will be taking this man first to Himachal. What we are learning is Parvati Valley is where they'll be taking him. From there, he'll be taking to Uttarakhand, where all they have stayed, who all they've met, to all those places that they had visited. So there'll be some kind of technical mapping, because the phone is not yet recovered, so they can't use the technical evidences. But they'll be taking this man to all these places to map the areas where all he has been, from starting from Maharashtra to Uttarakhand to Himachal and back to Delhi. And they will also want to know what all happened when they reached Delhi, because it was they had been when they shifted to this Chhatarpur house, it was just 3 days after that this girl was murdered. They shifted on 15th, and on 18th the murder took place.
Yes.
So the cops are finally focusing only on establishing the sequence of events, so that the chain of events can further surface clearly.
Yes. Anshul, you have been speaking to the neighbors and the nearby grocery stores, the owners of that. Tell us about what the neighbors are saying. Are they of the opinion that there was something amiss in his behavior, and you got us the details that around 1 a.m. every night the motor would open, he would switch on the motor when he was perhaps cutting off the body. As the details emerge, what are the neighbors saying?
So yes, the neighbors do not have actually much idea about Aftab, because they saw Aftab a few times, because remember, he used to work at a MNC in Gurgaon, and he used to come late night at home at approximately 8 to 9 p.m. was the time when he used to return back to his house, after which he would go out and order food yet again from food delivery sites, and the food would come in. So this was his normal routine that used to take place. And also interestingly, the neighbors had actually no idea that a girl named Shraddha was also living in that flat, because as soon as they shifted, as we have been mentioning, that they shifted in that house on the 15th of May, and on the 18th of May Shraddha was killed. So the neighbors did not have any idea that Shraddha also used to reside in that house as well.
But why haven't the cops questioned the landlord so far?
So yes,
why hasn't the statement of the landlord been recorded?
What I am being told that yes, Rohan was the middleman in this entire case. He is actually in touch with the cops as of now, but he is not speaking to the media. Neither his family is speaking to the media because of the kind of media attention that is being given to the case. But yes, the owner has still not been contacted by the cops. Neither the cops have been able to retrieve the rent agreement or the police, if at all the police verification had happened, because that area in Chhatarpur, there are also many houses in which many foreigners also reside, and the main complaint of the locals in that entire neighborhood is that it is very rarely that a police verification takes place in that area, because the landowners or the flat owners in that area actually try to skip those steps so that it is more convenient for them, and just to save a few bucks and to save some energy in that entire process of registering the tenant and getting them verified through police. So yes, it remains to be seen as to how quickly can the police reach there, because it is a very, very crucial piece of evidence, Maria, if in that rent agreement the name of Shraddha is also mentioned
or not. Dr. Dinesh, I have just enough time for you. What will happen in the next 24 to 48 hours?
One thing, the most important thing in the part of the police is that retrieval of the body parts, So retrieval of the parts, one thing, even now I doubt all the parts which have been retrieved belongs to Shraddha, because it is the places where you can see it may be a mixture of animal bones, or maybe a bones belong to some other individual. So only the DNA can confirm that all the parts which has been retrieved belong to the Shraddha itself. So the remaining parts, of course, the soft tissue can never be retrieved, because it might have decimated or decomposed and liquefied, or maybe eaten away by the animals up there. But definitely the retrieval of the weapon and skull, and more important, that the police has to have a number of units to handle this, and even in the forensic lab they should have an extra.
Are you of the opinion that this case should be handed over to CBI or some other investigative agency?
No, I don't think it is required at this stage, because the police are doing their job professionally. But what I suggested they need to have more groups to handle it. For example, especially the specimens here, because the DNA is not such a small, because there's a lot of DNA samples and lot needs to be examined, and more faster the results has to come, which will assist the investigator. So waiting for the samples, DNA results, and that should take a lot of time. That should not happen in this case. So I think the forensic lab should have a supporting
I
unit.
can see Rajat raising his finger. Please go ahead, Rajat.
The last sentence that you just said, you actually stole my words. I was about to say that, we need to have a CBI probe or NI into this investigation, because this clearly seems to be no normal case. It is too complex and too, I would say pre-planned way it is being carried out and pulled off in a way that the evidences are also clearly not enough, and people are, the police is trying to get, if you remember 3 days back, police got 12 parts, and then in these 3 days they have only managed to find one part. And we also have to consider this fact that Aftab, if is associated with more accomplices, it is possible that right now they are wiping off the rest evidences. It is very much possible.
Okay.
And
so
the second thing,
that just 30 seconds.
Where is Aftab's? Yeah.
Where is exactly what? Go
Where is
ahead.
Aftab's family?
Where is Aftab's family? Okay, 30 seconds for you.
My question is to Mr.
Why
Azad.
are they not here?
Yes.
Sir, I would just like to ask, we elaborately discussed the investigation, but I just wanted to have a different question from you. Even though this crime took place behind the doors and it was a fight between the couple that exaggerated as per the confession, do you not think that police's role is larger than just investigating? Have they summoned the lower staff, the beat constable who night patrol the area? This man has confessed that he used to step out of the house with a piece of body every night. Is police's role not more than that, having an investigating this case? Have they asked the night patrolling squad, have they summoned have the senior officials summoned lower officials in this case?
Dr. Azad, Yashwardhan Azad, yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, you see, this is one of the first points which the police got into, that they watched the CCTV to see if there are any movements, but unfortunately the CCTV is only available for 2 or 3 weeks. They were not able to do it. The beat constables, etc., also they are questioning, definitely, and they are trying to even find out from the neighbors, and the neighbors say that they haven't seen anything. But this is one of the points which is the most critical, as to if somebody has spotted him while dumping those things. But I still think that if the circumstantial evidence, for example, which you two have found out, is excellent, that somebody like Rohan, who has got a house, so somewhere somebody has seen Shraddha with him as the last scene in the house itself. These are very, very important issues. But this point about the querying the neighbors, querying the whereabouts, that's of course very crucial, and I hope they get something on this.
All right. Anvit Anshul here in the studio, Yashwardhan Azad, Rajat Shukla, Dr. Dinesh Rao, Anamika and Ashwini, thank you so much for joining us. We're slipping into a short break. Up next, special stories on the developments that have taken in the world outside India, from the impact of the midterm elections in the US to the Twitter trouble. All those when I return. Stay with us.